I had to work to keep my guys alive, so.
Would you look at that? A set of wins under our belt. We must be doing something right to have defeated a live opponent who brought their best to battle. Is this the final draft of our tournament-ready roster? Or are there still changes we can enact to seal up any leaks, in order to be fully prepared to go the distance in a grueling gauntlet of tactics PvP? Today, we're going to review our first victories live and offline, keeping in mind the mistakes we made, while also highlighting the best tactical decisions that showed us indeed something is working. Hi, I'm Mikey from Tactics Live Tournament with the third analysis in our series of videos documenting the preparation for and completion of the first War of the Lions tournament hosted by Tactics League. If you've been following along, you will remember the brutal losses we suffered in our first roster, and then how we improved a bit in our second playtest. Now we seem to have righted the ship and are on course to solidifying this roster for a competition. Was it simply picking the best, most optimized jobs, abilities, and equipment that gave us a win? Or do we manage to play to our strengths, or exploit our opponent's weaknesses? Or perhaps Lady Luck finally bestowed upon us her divine grace? That is exactly what we're about to find out. It feels difficult to pin our victories on any one factor, so we'll look at what we did from a bird's eye view. There were indeed some lucky moments to be had, whether it was that fortunate mana shield proc or debuff application. But generally, these moments were simply icing on the cake, as we were already well set up for success. Lastly, our equipment, job, and ability choices seem to have been treating us well, with a few instances where we can close up some gaps. Nobody seemed overly vulnerable and gave our opponents few options to derive value for themselves. While we did have some technical difficulties during our live stream, we were able to get in an offline match with Mustadio for testing. Steadfast Ring grants invulnerability for a couple turns, allowing us to throw Mustadio into the fray for opening debuffs. Steel is quickly losing its efficacy since it is very height dependent, and once Steadfast Ring wears off, Mustadio becomes a liability if he can't rejoin the rest of the squad. Bringing Summon with Delita was somewhat risky, but paid off big time, with a 700 HP shield saving our troops from huge melee swings. We also felt the effects of Unholy Sacrifice's updated damage, Delita doing more damage to himself than to his targets. Crushing Blow is much more reliable without the deleterious effects, and our Ancient Swords debuffs came into play as well. For this playtest, we leaned into Dance with Reyes, with surprisingly good results once we joined with the enemy. We successfully shut down our opponent's re-raise buffs thanks to the constant barrage of damage. Her Crushing Blow did help, but didn't really move the needle compared to her Mincing Minuet. Looking at our troops now, starting with Elheim. Her opening Heisha is a staple to getting an early lead, and her healing is delivering a lot of value. Her debuff protection could definitely use work, while Mana Shield is mostly holding up fine. Rico has been an all-star and our first troop who feels like they've hit their stride. Always in a state of attack, his jump has been hitting like a train consistently. We have even found uses for his secondary Fundament skill, using it beyond the usual opening focus. Emeralda has had her day in the sun once again, with her Geomancy shining when she manages to get a debuff off. We can risk being more offensive in our openings now that we have Protect and Shell from gear, though we still need to watch out for heavy-hitting melee units that can get through our bulky Mana Shield and various debuffs. we have Bart, who is the source of our technical difficulties with re-equip. This will be fixed in the next PvP patch, but I opted to not use re-equip to continue the stream, and I'm so glad that I did, as Fundaments was an absolute killer in these matches. His role as a backup support was clutch once again, as I was able to use his high movement to reach vulnerable allies. While he lacked some basic debuff protection, Sage's Ring was a welcome addition for guarding against elemental attacks. I gotta say, I feel so much better about my chances at placing well in the upcoming tournament. The testing is not finished, not at all. In fact, we still have some key takeaways despite our victory. 1. Use the turn list, and often. While this is good advice outside of PvP, during your turn in Melee, you should double check upcoming units' actions, and remind yourself of where spells are targeted by scrolling down and selecting the ability being cast. Always be mindful of turn order before casting a spell, unless you know for sure you will succeed. 2. Focus fire one unit at a time. Trying to spread damage around is much easier to counter than having a unit wiped from battle. Finding, or better yet, creating opportunities to start your attack on a unit and piling in with your damage dealers can create massive disruptions to your opponent's strategy. 3. Heal the living first, then revive the dead. Somewhat the opposite of the last takeaway, it's better to keep your troops who are alive but have taken serious damage in the fight longer rather than bringing an ally back to life. Reason being, you now have 2 vulnerable units to attend to, and most likely your only support unit just spent their action on the Raze or Phoenix down. If it's a matter of winning or drawing, yes, please revive that unit. But if you're in the mid to late game, having damage dealers alive and getting KOs is a stronger play. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves and think we have the ultimate combination of units and gear here. I still see some leaks in the ceiling that we can fix. And thankfully, these fixes are minor, and we won't have to completely rebuild our roster. For our generals, I feel satisfied with where we landed except for Mustadio. So let's focus on what we really want from him. We've left him as a ranged debuff specialist, opting to switch him back to a machinist for innate safeguard, and we paired his aim shot with speechcraft. For his equipment, we've overhauled him completely. Fomalhaut once again, a Genji shield to pair with reflexes, Acacia hat for the speed boost, Minerva bustier for elemental resistances, and Guardian bracelet for some important debuff immunities. We will see how this plays out, but so far, Mustadio has been the weakest of the 3 generals. Up next, we look at Alheim, who needed some help in debuff protection. We've given her a Barrette as a catch-all, taking a big hit to HP and MP as a result. To fill any gaps from the hair adornment, we're taking Imperial Armband. Everyone else is staying right where they are, because why fix what isn't broken? I'm just kidding. We will be keeping an eye on all units in our roster moving forward, as there are yet other players to test our mettle against, with new combination of tactics and strategies that might expose a blind spot we didn't anticipate. That's it for today's playtest analysis. A little short, I know. We're missing the usual monster battle to test our latest changes. But honestly, I feel that these fights are no longer giving us the valuable data we need to make informed decisions. The real insights are coming from matches against real players, and I'm finding those players in the Tactics League Discord. We are super close to getting the PvP mod finalized, so if you're interested in helping test and offer suggestions for balance, now is the time to join in the fun. Check out the links in the description to start your Tactics multiplayer journey today. Before you go reading up on how Fundaments is vastly different in the PvP mod on the Tactics League website, I would greatly appreciate a quick like to the video. It really helps the channel out. And if you're interested to see where this road to victory leads and the final tournament, be sure to subscribe for more content just like this. Either way, I'm glad you made it this far, and I hope you had a good time and are inspired to explore this underused feature of this amazing game. This is Mikey from Tactics Live Tournament, signing off. This is Mikey from Tactics Live Tournament, signing off. I will see you in the next video. And until then, be well, everyone.